Brought to you by Mr. Pros TV, streaming from Tempe, Arizona. And we're live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, Jordan Nielsen here, host of Real Estate Pros on Mr. Pros TV, and today we are in our Tempe studio here with Megan Behrens of MB Consultant. So MB Consulting, right?
Yes,
did I get that right?
That is correct.
So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day and joining me here on Real Estate Pros. Now, you are not a real estate agent, but you do bring some different aspects when it comes to real estate because you work in the Airbnb. You are an interior designer, so there's some interesting questions I can ask you, trends and stuff like that you've probably seen. But anyways, for those that don't know who you are, I'll give you an opportunity to introduce yourself, how long you've been doing interior design work, and actually your husband also is a real estate agent. So anyways, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Wonderful. Yeah, my name is Megan Behrens, and I started a company called MB Consulting, which I can consult with interior design, work for you, manage properties for you for Airbnb and VRBO, which we'll get into, and just do interior design in general for clients. So you want to kind of talk about the Airbnb portion, how that got started?
Or how long have you been doing interior design?
So I actually have only been doing interior design for a few years.
Okay.
Transferred here from Chicago, and I was in the liquor industry up until then, and had children. And while I was pregnant, I have two identical twins at home. While I was pregnant, I actually
you got your hands full there.
Was random got laid off the company, and it was one of those things where like everyone got laid off, and I'm like, okay, I'm 5 months pregnant, I can't do anything. No one would hire you, and I'm like, I have to do something. So I went to interior design school.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's where it started.
Interior design. How do you like it so far?
I absolutely love it. You know, it was a perfect career change, and then obviously pairs very well with my husband being in real estate. So it just kind of all fell
we
in
do a lot of
place.
real estate photography, so it's always nice going into houses that have been staged and designed really well. It just like the cohesion. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but how it flows. Yeah, how the house flows really makes a difference on who your target audience is, which is kind of what we were talking about with Airbnb, because you got to so I guess talk to us how you got interested in Airbnb and what you do with Airbnb.
So I've always been interested in Airbnbs, and I finally convinced my husband to stay on one probably 3 years ago, and we went and stayed, and he was like, oh, you know what, that really wasn't that bad. I think sometimes your first time going into it, people are a little apprehensive and don't know what it's going to be like, and there's different degrees of Airbnbs. There's definitely like crashing on someone's couch versus like renting a full house.
Right.
So it depends the experience that you want to get out of it, but he kind of started realizing like this is kind of a cool thing, and I convinced him to like rent a room out at our house for a little bit. And I think as people started coming, he realized these are just normal people like you and I. Like, it's not creepers or weirdos, or I don't know, you kind of have what kind of people use this? So it really, really opened his eyes to it. And then obviously as he's in real estate, he sees properties all the time, and it was one on our goal list. Like, we want to do this, and we finally fell across a perfect property to do it in and did it. And from then, we actually bought one that had to be rehabbed. So through the whole, we rehabbed it, bought it in the summer, which is obviously a perfect time in Arizona to not be renting due to our extreme weather. So we actually rehabbed it all summer, had our first renters in September. And by December, I had it fully rented every weekend from January through April.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, great property, obviously.
So how long have you guys been doing the Airbnb?
2 years.
Oh,
I'd
2
say.
years now. So you've seen the whole cycle. So is it common where there's a slow season in the summer when people aren't traveling here because it's so hot, and then in the wintertime it's really popular?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you definitely get that. And then, we have so many events as well. So Phoenix Open, you obviously, I charge a lot more during the Open, knowing I might not have any renters in June or July. Or if and I bring my rates down in the summer as well, because I can't charge the same as I do in the winter
Right.
because there's not nearly as many people. But depending on your location, there still are renters. You know, if you're by the Mayo Clinic, you know, it might be more people coming in for hospital treatments or family of people going into hospital treatments.
Right.
There's always kids in college or doing programs, and it's not the same, you know, push that we definitely have during the winter season, but there are people.
So what does a good Airbnb property look like? Obviously, we were talking a little bit about earlier about goals and who's going to be the target. So obviously, if you're next to a hospital, you know, like you said, people, when you say last summer you guys found a perfect Airbnb home to rent out, what did that look like? So if somebody's like, oh, I want to maybe dabble with Airbnb, but I don't know how to identify what a perfect property would look like.
Well, our goals were to have lots of bedrooms and bathrooms. We knew that we wanted to have big parties. I think that's another thing when people go in big groups places, like they all want to congregate and be together, maybe not, have 5-8 hotel rooms for everyone in the party, but instead just all be in one house and have a private pool. So we found a 5-bedroom, 5-bath house, which is not always common, right?
Yeah.
So that was a huge score for us. And also it had an additional build-on in the back, which was all permitted, and, that just kind of made it easy. It actually was a daycare that the woman ran in the back. We blew the wall, and now it's basically a huge game room. So we have a pool table and a poker table. I think being in Arizona, a pool is a must. If you can get a heated pool, even better. People will pay to have that every day. And just common space. People also love the open kitchen concept.
Right.
When you're in that big of a group, people are definitely like cooking and hanging out together. Not even cooking, but even if, we do a lot of bachelor parties, even if it's guys with pizza boxes thrown all over, they want to be able to like congregate, grab a piece, and then go to the pool table, or grab a piece and go buy a TV and watch it. I'd say maybe having, if you can, a few living spaces is what we found. That's kind of nice as well. Just so you have, if one group wants to congregate in this area, another can kind of go in a different area and relax. And all in all, big, clean areas.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And from a design aspect, when you started in Airbnb, now you said you have investors that are interested in you and using you guys. So what exactly do you guys do for investors?
Yeah. So when an investor is interested, typically a lot of times my husband is the one identifying the property for them. So we'll kind of figure out, do you want to be in a proximity of Old Town? Do you want to be in proximity of Mayo or TPC? Or exactly like what's your goal? Like what do you want to be by? And some of these investors as well, they also want the place for them and their family to come.
Right.
So, where could you see your family vacationing and hanging out when they're here? And then what are you comfortable with, letting people stay there as well? So once that's identified, they'll close on the property, and I typically come in during the closing and just kind of get the layout of it, and we decide, are we keeping it as is, or is there construction? A lot of times there's a little construction, landscaping, just those little things, but it totally depends on every investor on how much they want to put into it and how much they don't. The ones I've worked with, a lot of them want to like add or renovate or just do a few items, so we'll do that, and in the meantime, I am sourcing furniture, figuring out exactly how everything's going to lay out. For instance, last week, we actually closed on a house I guess it was 2 weeks ago. We closed on the house on Wednesday, and the following Thursday, I had my first renters. So a lot of prep time on my end. It's not ideal to close within 7 days and like have renters there on my side, just because it's obviously a ton of work to source the furniture, things ship in, things get broken in transit, right? Things a delivery didn't come because the address card wasn't filled out correctly from the post office, so they held the order. It's just tons of moving parts, but the good thing is, it got rented, obviously made some good money for a few days, then it's not rented for a few days, so then I go back and I, also once all the furniture is in place, you realize like, we kind of need like a council table here, this could be larger here, now that this light fixture's hung, I could see, this, I don't know, you just kind of see more things that need to be added. So, you can ad hoc and add them as you go. He had, we actually listed the property, obviously, before it was renovated with the old real estate photos. Mm-hmm. So that can happen. But now he's like dying to get the real professional photos taken. Yeah. But like we can't because there's people in the house. So it's one of those things. When we did our property, we did everything and then took the professional pictures and then listed it. So it kind of depends on the investor's comfort level. This gentleman who I'm actually working with on this last one is super aggressive and ready to like rock and roll. So that's why we moved as quickly as we did. Other people are definitely, they want to wait. They want to make sure, every potted plant is perfect before
They put
people
it
are
out.
coming in. Right, because it can also affect your reviews. Luckily, the family we had that stayed was super chill, totally understood what I was doing because I'm like, I'm really sorry, not everything's like, we didn't have all the artwork coming yet. Just little things like that, and she was totally fine with it.
Right.
But just things to kind of note as you're going through the process.
So as a VRBO and Airbnb, what are common returns? So like investors say, oh, I want to invest and I'm buying this house just for Airbnb. It's not like I'm going to buy it to rent it out. What are common returns? Like, are people making significantly more than, so assume that they just put a regular mortgage on this house, right?
Yeah, regular
And
mortgages.
you can maybe rent it out for about that much or more. If to a traditional renter, what on average are people making on
So
that?
there is a program called airdna.com, and you can go on there and like look at a specific zip code or area, and it will show what the houses are making. I would say anywhere from 30 to 120, 150 for a super high end. With at least when we look at rentals, we try to only do 4 bedrooms or more. Because obviously you can charge more because more people are staying there.
Sure.
So I don't manage anything that's less than 4 bedrooms or design at the moment.
Gotcha. And big differences between, do you have to pick one or the other, like Airbnb, VRBO.com?
No, you
or
do
can you
them
be
both.
And then there's some system that syndicates that knows when this one's rented out. Is that how it works?
Yeah, so you sync the calendars together, which is amazing because
Yeah,
obviously
that's
you
nice.
don't want people overbooking
Yeah.
others, and it makes it a lot easier on my end because I design and then I manage afterwards. So we get everything set up for you. That's actually what I do on my end. So I'll get all the calendars set up. We talk about pricing. I'll tell you what I think you can charge, and we'll kind of agree on a price and get all the prices set up. And then I do adjust them around holidays and special events as well. You bring the pricing up.
Did you say is it airdna.com? And can you get an idea of like, not just like what can you charge per day or however the pricing is, but also see the trends like, okay, this area is kind of slow during the summer. Does it show that as well? Or it doesn't show the trends, or you just kind of got to know the market like you are experienced? So
Right. I think it's more knowing the market and just being abreast of what's going on in it. Anyone can look at Arizona and obviously say, oh, rent's going to go down in the summer. But I think to really be good at managing, you got to realize like when, obviously I'm losing money in the summer, when can I spike to make money in other things? We have Barrett-Jackson, a ton of people are coming and they all have money and want, a nice luxury place to stay. So give them what they ask for. And, for those bigger events, sometimes I throw in a little extra. I'll have a welcome package when they come, or, you make them feel special,
right,
and do something above and beyond what you do for just like your typical guest because they are paying more.
Yeah. So do you have to gravitate when you're picking the property, for example, is it like on the outskirts far away? Is that, should you center around like you said, a hospital or a venue that's relatively close? Like for the Phoenix Open, do you have to be in that Scottsdale area, or are people renting like way out east and just driving in, or how?
I focus on Scottsdale. That's really like the area I do the most with. So I can't say about like Mesa
but at
or
least
anything. But
Scottsdale,
right,
for example.
I do properties in South Scottsdale, and they were both rented for Phoenix Open. And people asked, how far is TPC from here? It's about a 15-minute drive. So I think people are willing to drive.
That's a good area because people coming in from Barrett-Jackson, Phoenix Open. There's probably other things throughout the year.
Right, exactly. So people are definitely willing to like drive or Uber that. I think that's what people are kind of trying to calculate on where they're staying versus how much are they going to be spending on getting to different locations.
Gotcha. So if somebody out there is maybe an investor that's looking to invest in an Airbnb property or VRBO, vacation rental, how do they get a hold of you and find out, how you guys can help them find and identify and then rehab? Because you guys do the full thing,
Yes.
So your husband's a real estate agent on the Jason Mitchell team, so he can help. He's a real estate expert, so he can find the property, and then you can go in and design. So they kind of got nice, which both parts are very important to be able to be successful on these platforms. I'm assuming, if you're buying a bad area that doesn't suit this, or if the house doesn't look right, catering towards, bachelors or whatever. it may be, it's not going to be successful. So anyways, how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, easiest way is probably my cell phone. If people want to give me a call, my number is 312-852-8338, or you can always email me at meg.n.behrens@gmail.com.
315, where are you from?
312.
Oh, 312, where are you at?
Chicago.
Oh, Chicago, that's right. You
Yes.
moved here from Chicago.
Yes.
What's the thing that you like? What do you miss about Chicago, and what do you like about Arizona?
Miss about Chicago is being able to like walk everywhere, to meet someone for lunch, grab a coffee, walk to the gym. Miss that. What I love about Arizona is being able to do what you want all year long outside.
Absolutely.
Right? Like that's the best part.
Yep.
It's amazing.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today on Real Estate Pros, and we will see you guys on the next episode.